What's up, YouTube? So today's topic, I'm going to talk about narcissism and narcissistic people and breaking generational curses and the trials and errors and how tough it is to being born into like very abusive, narcissistic, unaware, mentally distraught, mentally disturbed, mentally disabled family members from generations to generations. How hard it is to break free from these cycles, and not only that, but to also create an abundant life for yourself at the same time. Because there is, with this world, people get it twisted, I feel like, because a lot of people, yes, they talk about world corruption, but also people don't talk about like the spiritual aspects of it. And they do, but what I mean by it is this, right? So there's, and obviously, like, there's other corruptions, not just the world, but it gets deep. But so most everyone living on Earth, it is reality in this Earth realm. From my observation, there's different types of corruptions. So not only we're dealing with world corruption that deals with money restrictions, that deals with corrupt government like the Illuminati, the elites, the Rothschilds, or other satanic or evil as Masonic bloodlines, right? And other names I don't want to mention. So you got these groups of people who rule this world, right? And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you can research it up. There's other spiritual channels that talk about this. I'm not gonna go into detail. If you're watching this channel, you should already be like advanced spiritually. So, and yes, I mean in an arrogant way. So like, so not only we're dealing with like world corruption, right? So we're dealing with like what people like they like with money restrictions, third world countries, wars and battles, a lot of manipulation, a lot of deception, and a lot of like just a lot of things being hidden from us that's very detrimental, that can help humanity, like advanced technology, advanced energy, free energy that can fucking like change this whole system, so to where people don't have to work at these 9 to 5 jobs and be forced to do things they don't want to do, and they're forced, and their free will is being controlled out of survival. But also, so we're dealing with that corruption. We're also dealing with spiritual corruption. I don't know if it's demonic influence, I don't know if it's the devil, or just like a certain energy or lower vibrational entities who like to manipulate people's minds into making them doing shit that's very out of character, that's very violent, and that's very, hang on, man. There's someone's car's horn is going off, man. Really, so like it's funny when I'm making this video, they're like someone's car horn, like someone's car alarm system, it just keeps on going and it's distracting me. So that's proof that the shit I'm saying is synchronicity, and what the fuck I'm saying is right, because I'm speaking this from my heart, from observation and my experiences and my intuition. But anyways, so we're dealing with world corruption, but we're also dealing with spiritual corruption, right? Spiritual corruption deals with like demonic influence, possession, and that in itself causes people to become narcissistic and mentally evil, right? This is why there's a lot of narcissistic people and a lot of people like apathy. It's not, people who like empathy. It is not normal for human beings to like empathy. This is where you get your psychopaths from and narcissists. Some people say there's like soulless portals or organic portals to where like people don't have a soul. They're just put here to cause destruction. I feel like that's facts, but not only at a physical standpoint, but at a metaphorical standpoint perspective. Because there are spirits who are not evolved. I heard other theories where people say that there are spirits who reincarnated here who are new spirits, and this is why they do a lot of stupid ass shit when it comes to harming people. I'm not sure that's true or not, but more so, I personally believe there is a demonic influence, like some paranormal activity that's possessing a lot of human bodies to cause destruction. That I feel like that happens a lot, especially within generational curses and obviously around the world. So not only, so imagine coming to this world where like you're dealing with world corruption with the money restrictions, but you're also dealing with spiritual corruption with people are so narcissistic and they lack empathy. That is a curse in itself as well. That's paranormal activity as well. So as a human being, you as when you're born here, you pretty much like all like it's you against all odds. Like all these stacked, all the odds are stacked against you pretty much. So this is why there's so much people are depressed. They're just miserable with living in this reality because of this corrupt system and the people controlling this shit. in an evil way. We're also dealing with a lot of demonic possession when it comes to paranormal activity, with like people are just doing shit to harm innocent people, or people who are meant to do things to change the world. These people are getting targeted, and with watching this video, you don't have to believe what I believe in, but me, I consider myself to kind of have a spiritual slash religious belief. I don't say spiritual because my definition of spiritual is like, it's like open-mindedness. So I consider myself to also have like a religious belief, I guess. So I do believe there's a God, but at the same time, I do believe there's a God and there's a devil. There's a good and an evil. I do believe in that. I do believe in demons and angels, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if none of those things exist. So I consider myself, so basically I'm religious, but I have an open mind at the same time. And I'm not saying my beliefs are right compared to other people who like to force beliefs onto people. So I just want to get that across. So, but yeah, so I feel like there are demonic influences and demons who like to inhabit into people's bodies so they could do bad shit. Now, how does that happen? So based on my studies, my research, and my observations, I don't know too much, but I've done a little bit. So I feel like when people, they go through so much trauma and traumatic experiences in this realm, in this reality, certain souls or some spirits, they can't handle that shit. And it gets too much for them, to where now they have this thing called a soul wound, or like a damaged soul. So now it gives room for negative entities and demonic entities to inhabit into that body spiritually, and then that's how their bodies are hijacked into them doing evil shit. Now, I don't know if that happens 24/7 to that particular body, or if it shapeshifts here and there. So this is why you hear stories of people, especially like narcissistic people, they'll lash out, or like they'll change personalities, and then when you confront them, they either lie, manipulate, or they're not aware that they're doing that. Possibly they are influenced by a demon 24/7, or like it's happening like momentarily, like it happens at a certain phase or a certain shift or a certain shape shift, like within minutes, and then they'll get back to normal, and then the entities will hijack that body again. So it gets complicated, but I personally believe it is 24/7. And or these demons, they hijack these people's bodies at random times. So either way, it's an open vessel. It's a damaged human being who experienced a lot of traumatic shit, and their soul, their spirit couldn't handle it, and they just kind of submit, and they kind of just accept the fact that they can't handle it. So then that gives room for entities to inhabit that body. This is why it's important to do the shadow work and to constantly heal yourself. Obviously not 24/7, because we're still humans and we can only take so much. The human nervous system can only take so much. Because if you're to do all the shadow work and do all healing work all at once, you're going to destabilize yourself. That's why it's always important to go to therapy, or to have someone with you when you're doing shadow work. If you don't know what you're doing, you're trying to heal everything. And in our tuition, consciously and subconsciously, we know that like as human beings, we can't handle too much shadow work all thrown at us at once. So consciously, we're already aware of that. Versus if we were to do all that at once, no, it's going to destabilize us. That's why people tend to avoid healing, or they don't want to go to therapy, or like I heard some therapists are corrupt. So I'm not talking about that. Like, this is why some people avoid to do the healing work, and we have a lot of damaged people, and they're controlled by their traumas. They're not really living life. They're controlled by their by their pain, pretty much, because it's hard for them to overcome it, pretty much. So it gets deep. Now what does it have to do with generational curses breaking it? So I came to the conclusion, and I personally do believe this. You don't have to agree with that, agreeing. I personally believe part of my soul mission, my life mission, is to break generational curses. So it makes sense of why I'm constantly experiencing a lot of just shitty people, narcissistic people, and we all experience this, but I'm just saying particularly. And also I was born in a fucking just very weird, apathetic family. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have common sense. They lack communication. And when I was looking back and I was dealing with them, is like, they're not normal. Like, the type of shit they'll do, like all the manipulation, all the lying, like how they'll act two-faced, how they'll like, if you really see my family members, you'll see like, oh, okay, they look innocent. Even like, it's weird because like I'll be seeing my family members on social media, and I'll be observing them and how they look and shit, and like they look so innocent, they look so like happy, and like they just look like they could have harmed a fly. But it's weird because I remember when I used to live with them, behind closed doors, they will like cuss me out, they will lay hands on me, they will like verbally attack me, they'll lie, they'll manipulate. And I know this to be and obviously I know it's to be a fact because obviously they've done those things to me. But there are times where like they'll do something shady, and then I'll try to hold them accountable. And then they'll deflect, and then that'll cause an argument. Eventually, it'll lead up to them fighting and shit towards me. And then when I'll call the cops, and then it makes sense of why the cops will never believe my side of the story. You know what I'm saying? Because they're so good at being two-faced and manipulative. So this is where you get your covert narcissism. Covert narcissists are very good at this. But what gets tricky is that, like, I'm not sure when people deal with covert narcissists and narcissistic people, I'm not sure if they've, like, and the reason, and I could easily say, oh, just comment down below your experiences. But I'm aware on YouTube, people don't like to comment. People don't like to give feedback. And they don't like to like people's content because they just fucking watch and they just like to, and like what Chauncey once said, they like entertainment, and this is why they don't support YouTubers, and they're just fucking weird. But anyways, and then they bitch and complain on why we don't make content, we only make Patreon, whatever. But you know, but anyway, so like, so when they've also dealt with narcissists and covert narcissism, is like, do they also look innocent? Do they also look the same? I mean, do they look happy? Do they look innocent? Do they look like they want to harm a fly? So I'm not so. I wonder people, because if they confirm that's fact and that's true, then the shit I'm experiencing is valid. You know what I'm saying? But I'm already aware these people are shitty, but it just trips me out because these same people who cause a lot of pain and suffering and sleepless nights and a lot of crying and a lot of like grief and a lot of like this heartache and trauma that I had to heal from, that's still healing to this day, and PTSD symptoms to where I have sleepless nights and I have random acts of like anger and just rage and obviously I could control it because I know I study a lot of spirituality, so I know how to regulate my emotions, but at the same time I still let it out. So and stuff like that. So they cause all that, but at the same time, I'll look through their social media and even how they act towards people. Obviously, I don't know their personal lives like that. No one does. No, even your family members, you don't know their personal lives. Just because you live with them, you're born with them, does not mean you know their personal lives. Because you don't know the types of people they know, the connections they have, who they interact with, who they're fucking, just shit like that. So you just don't know. People think they know their families, but they don't. And I'm not saying it should be like that. And it's common sense. People think they know because you don't know what people do in their personal lives, even with their families. You just don't. People don't like telling you all their business. You know what I'm saying? But so like I said, I don't know how they treat other people besides me and behind closed doors and shit. But what I do know is that like it's weird how like they'll, damn, that car alarm's still going on. So, but it's just weird how like they'll still harm and cause a lot of suffering and do a lot of crazy ass demonic evil shit towards me, but in social media they look happy, they look innocent, and it trips me out because I understand in social media people love to put a fake facade. I mean, it's not even that, but it's social media, like it's good to be happy and to present yourself at a loving way. It's just a program of Instagram, you know. I do that, you know. Everyone does, you know. But this is why it's weird when people say, oh, people, they just like to post their achievements and being happy, and they never post their downfalls. And people get mad about that. I'm just like, well, no shit. Isn't that what Instagram and its programming for? To post your achievements and happiness? Why? So why are you getting mad that they're not posting? Like, I hate, like, how do I explain it? It's like people, like, some people, like, they feel some type of way when people don't post them, like, their real life or their true experiences, but they don't post their achievements and happiness. I'm like, yeah, well, no shit, that's part of the programming. I do that, we all do that, and that same person probably does that shit too, you know. No one's gonna post their losses or their sadness or their grief. Who does that shit? It's weird. And I'm talking about the programming of this shit, you know. So, you know, people just like to talk, but or they like to use examples. There's nothing wrong with that, but I'm talking about people who just like to talk shit, you know. But anyways, because they do the same shit. But it trips me out though, man. Like, I understand, like, you're supposed to put a happy face and your achievements, but it's just weird how like they'll disrespect me behind closed doors. But when I check their social media, like, they look happy, they look like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, is this weird, man? It's trippy, and it'll be kind of fucking me up mentally too, because it's like I be thinking to myself, wait, what all they just did that even happen, or like, is it my fault, or like, you know what I'm saying? I understand within conflicts and fights, it takes two. But I can't confirm that most of it was because of fucking them. They don't take accountability. They lack empathy, and like they like to fucking like. Because I'm telling you, I have so many stories I've explained in my last videos, and a lot more that I haven't shared. But I don't want to do it because it's too long. Because it's, like I said, it's spiritual warfare. When you're dealing with narcissists, you are dealing with demonic entities. There's over thousands of if not millions of videos all over YouTube talking about narcissists. But what they don't talk about is the spiritual side of it. People love to talk about scientific. Not everything, if you know scientific is facts, not everything is scientific. Not everything is one side. Not everything is left brain thinking. There's also right brain thinking. There's a spiritual side to it. Just like when you die and experience astrology and astrological influences, these Mercury retrogrades, these full moon cycles, that's spiritual. That's not scientific. People can't prove that shit. No, it's spiritual. Same thing with narcissists. People report to seeing spirits and ghosts because it's a real fucking thing. But same thing with like, even with their mind, but whatever. But with narcissism, it's spiritual. It is scientific, but at the same time, it is spiritual. And people fail to talk about the spiritual sides of it when they talk about narcissism and narcissistic people. I'm not talking about egotistical and arrogant people. I'm not talking about that. Every human being is arrogant and egotistical. We all have those traits. I'm talking about, like, and when I say borderline personality disorder, I don't know too much about that. So I'm not saying every person with NPD is like that. No, I'm talking about people who just do a lot of evil shit, who like empathy, and when you're interacting with them, you just feel like a bad vibe, or like there's just something they're doing where like it's just causing you a lot of harm. And like they're very skilled at doing it, and it seems like everyone does the same thing, or like you meeting the same person in different bodies, and they all do the same shit, or like they all do something similar, and they harm you. They make you feel the same way, and you just can't put your finger into it. That's what I'm talking about. More than likely, that's spiritual warfare. And there are other videos who do talk about that. So these same videos, I study them and I compare it to my real life experiences, and I come up with my own conclusion at the same time. So yes, I do agree with them. It is spiritual warfare. You are dealing with demons, demonic entities. This is why there's reports of people seeing, like on my last videos, where like when people deal with narcissists, at times they do see them change faces. They kind of shapeshift. So their eyes will turn pitch black, or they'll catch them staring them down with an evil ass stare, or like they're very manipulative, and they all do the similar things. Like the type of stories and videos and information that I've heard from people dealing with narcissists, it's crazy how they'll confirm that like all the shit other people are experiencing, they've experienced the same thing, and how they operate, and how they lie, and how they change personalities. They change their physical appearance within their facial, like their facial features and their eyes changing, and then mad dogging them and sensing negative energy. All the symptoms they've experienced, how they feel, and the physical symptoms they've experienced with them, it's all the fucking same. And I've experienced this shit, and it's all the same too. So that's demonic warfare. That's spiritual. You're being attacked by demons. At this point, you're not dealing with human beings. You are dealing with demonic entities. Yes, this is some Emily Rose, the possession of Emily Rose type of shit. This shit does exist. It is a real thing. It is paranormal activity. It is. So this is why, just talking about it, I'm getting goosebumps and chills from that, because it's fucking, it's creepy. It's fucking like it's fucking creepy. You know, it's some crazy shit. So yeah, it's looking back. So like, and it gets dangerous, because if you're the black sheep of the family, or if you're meant to break generational curses, get out of that, or try the best you can. Everyone's situation is different, but it gets scary. Even looking back, I'm like, how the fuck did I survive all this shit? Because how all of them were just mobbing me, just attacking me. No wonder why people call it a curse, because it's a generational curse. It is a fucking curse, because they're all influenced by the fucking devil, by the Jezebel spirit, by these entities. You know what I'm saying? This is why they all type of generational curses, black sheep of the family. You have over thousands of people who experience damn near the same shit. Different background, different area locations, but all this shit they've experienced is a fucking same of them being attacked, being ganged up on, the manipulation they'll do, and the gaslighting, the tactics they'll do to bring these people down. It's all the fucking same. I've experienced this shit myself. It's all the fucking same. You know, so, and people don't question, the thing with, and people don't question themselves. The thing with life is that, like, I've noticed a lot of people like to settle. A lot of people like to accept things, and I'm gonna make another video about this. Um, when it comes to life, people like to accept shit. There's nothing wrong with what's the word? There's nothing wrong with like I'm going with the flow and letting things be. But it gets a problem where like that's the main objective, that's the main goal in life. It could be anything in life. It could be within a belief system, it could be with your studies, with your career, with your self-development. It could be anything. Even with relationships and dating. It could be anything. People like to settle and accept things. No, always question, always think outside the box, always think what if, or if there's other possibilities or scenarios to these situations. This is why I love Chauncey One's channel. He talks about, he said, like, and shout out to Chauncey One, he mentioned on his video, the purpose of his channel, or the one of his purposes of his channel, is to have people who watch his channel to think outside the box, to think, to question everything, the mindset, question everything, you know. And when he said that, like, he made it like that really stuck me, because he made a great point, and it's life-changing. Question everything. You can't just accept things, you know, because if everyone were to accept things and question shit, then the example of generational curses, part of generational, see, like, watch Denzel Moss. He explains a lot about what generational curses are, what the black sheep is, the scapegoat, what's their purpose, and what they're here to do. And I don't mean it's an egotistical way, but what I can say is that all this shit he's saying is damn near accurate. The purpose of these people who get bullied, who get targeted a lot within these dysfunctional families, they're meant to break these cycles because they're getting attacked for a reason. Some people, they're just assholes, but other people, they don't agree with what these families are doing when it comes to abuse, disrespect, lack of empathy, lack of accountability, and lack of love. They go against the grain one way or the other, whether they're subconsciously or consciously doing it, right? And when they do it, it's like they're being attacked by all these people, and they're just in this shit alone. This is why all these black sheep families, they have similar life stories to where they got to separate from their families to get the fuck away from them. Because these same family members, they're all influenced by the devil, right? And so they're being attacked. So they're trying to break that generational curse. The reason why they're able to, and most of the times, some of them, they commit suicide, or they do too much. But some people, they're actually able to do it. And when Denzel Moss talked about the purpose of the black sheep or scapegoats of the family, he talked about how, like, the reason why they're able to do it, or why they're even chosen to do that, is because they can see through the bullshit, but these other family members can't, because they're put in a spell, they're put in a curse. So you see where I'm getting at? This is what I'm talking about. Think outside the box. The reason why people are able to break generational curses and even to make great inventions, all the great people you've seen in this world who made huge changes within the society, within this world, that's life-changing. The reason why they're able to do that, because they don't settle. They don't accept things. They always question. They always think outside the box. They always figure out other new ways to expand their horizons. That's where I'm getting at. Always question things. These black sheep of the family scapegoats, they're able to break the generational curse, or just the fact that they even have the awareness of that shit as they grow older, is because they don't accept things. They don't allow things to happen. They don't let shit go with the flow, especially when things are going wrong and south and something seems off. That's when they question shit. That's when they disagree, deny it, because they're challenging life. They're not a challenge, because they question everything. They have an open mind. They like to observe. Within life, you always have to observe. A lot of people in life, they don't observe. They don't question themselves. They don't think outside the box. They don't self-reflect. And now you wonder why this world's so evil, so corrupt, and it's been going on for thousands of years. Look at other countries. I'm not going to name these countries, but there are certain countries who, they're just so restricted and they're enslaved and they have no free thinking, or free thinking is even illegal. And you have certain people who think outside the box or go against the norm. They get punished and chastised, and they get they get punished for that in certain countries. Why? Because back then, no one had the balls to fucking question what these corrupt people are doing. They didn't have the balls to think outside the box. They didn't have the balls to go against their belief systems, because they know it's wrong and it's not right for the collective. And that's the problem with the society. That's the problem with this world. People they like to accept things. Even you could look at this from a societal worldview and from also a personal worldview. So people individually, the reason why they're miserable, they're depressed, that's kind of extreme, because a lot of factors play into that, like within karma, spirituality, astrology, and your life mission. But I'm talking about people who just refuse to change, people who are narcissistic, and people who lack empathy, people who just like to abuse people and they think it's okay. The reason why they're like that is because they don't question shit and they accept things. They're gonna accept that they're gonna live a shitty life and they're gonna be miserable and they're gonna suffer and they're gonna project their bullshit onto people whether they're aware of it or not. And they like to go along with it. Because why? Because they don't like to question shit. They don't like to think outside the box. They don't like to get off the comfort zone. Why? Because they like to settle and they go with the flow for the rest of their life. And that's why they are the way they are, and this is why they're average and the world is the way it is. So this shit plays out not only from each individual skill, but from a large societal collective reality view as well. You know what I'm saying? So this shit gets deep. But yeah, so once I found out that part of my life path, and after a lot of studies and observations and self-reflection, that yes, unfortunately, part of my life path is to break generational curses. And once I came to that conclusion, it did kind of disturb me. I am disappointed because I'm like, so God will really put me through all this torment and suffering and confusion and all the bullshit I had to go through even today, just so for me to break generational curses, just so one day, if I even decide to have a family, then my family will never have to go through the abuse that my past generations had to go through. Or if not, maybe if I decide not to have a family, maybe I'm meant to wake up certain siblings and certain family members, and they're meant to go their own past because now they have a realization to how abusive my family are and how abusive they are. So now they're gonna decide to like not continue or perpetuate the same cycle that they've experienced and also I've experienced as well. You know, so who the fuck knows how my life is gonna play out in the long run. But all I am saying is that, like, without a doubt, yes, my life path is part of it's meant to break these fucking cycles. But I'm just more so pissed at God, at the creator, because it's like, first off, you're gonna put me through all this corruption, all this just like all this abuse and confusion just so I could break these cycles, even though God is technically allowing all this shit to happen. This is why I mentioned my old videos. Like God will have us, so like how life should be, it should be running in a circle, right? No, it should be running in a circle, running smooth. Nah, straight line or a circle smoothly, right? But what God would do, God would purposely disrupt that circle and that fucking straight line, just so, and then God will put like a wall or like other obstacles and bullshit so that circle won't run smoothly and that line won't go smoothly, right? Just so that circle, instead of going through circles now, that circle got to go through loopholes and different mazes and different other shit just so it can run, right? And I don't mean this in a way where God is testing our strengths or God wants us to get closer to him. Or I understand there's a higher perspective on why God does, or why God or spirit or the universe or this reality does the things it does. But the problem is, it's a problem because this is why when Chauncey went on his channel, he talked about like this is hell and that we're supposed to get the fuck out of here. We're supposed to do the work and get out of here because it's hell. Because in his reality, he mentioned that there's always going to be some type of bullshit, some type of chaos, and some type of disruption that's always going to happen. Because he mentioned it's part of this reality. And he mentioned something like that. And when he mentioned that, I get what he's saying, and it makes sense to me. And I can see it play out in this fucking reality. Because like it's same thing with generational curses, same thing with this society. It happens at everything. Everything operates like that. This is why there's even generational curses and narcissistic families and abuse that goes on. It's going on for fucking generations. And at first, when I didn't know about this, I'm like, first off, okay, so if I'm meant to break generational curses and other black pieces of the family, why is it that like it's gonna take them generations to generations, or why even narcissistic families, or even to continue that shit from generations to generations? Why? It's because even though God can end all this shit and also end world corruption, but God doesn't do that. But and God is not going to end these fucking generational curses. But what God will do is that God will handpick certain souls, certain spirits to come down here so they could like spread information, spread awareness, so now these cycles could be broken up. Not only generational curses, but within this society. And I'm thinking to myself, why would you do that? And when I say God, you can refer to it as the universe, as this reality, whatever. So this reality, it makes shit harder than it has to be. And this is why people like to call this hell. And this is why we need, or at least me, this is why I want to do this, my spiritual work, so I can get the fuck out of here. So I ain't got to deal with this bullshit. This is why when you're trying to, like, this is why, like, it's hard to explain. This is why all the basic shit that you think you need, that's the reason why you have to go through so much bullshit just to get that. Like, people be telling stories where, like, they work their asses off to make millions of dollars just for them just to have, like, a big house, a nice car, and different types of connections and different types of freedom, right? Because they have a lot of financial success. But how I look at it, from the average person, they'll look at that as like, oh, that's good. You know, that's societal expectations. That society will look at that as a good thing. And you're living the American dream, and in order for you to reach that, you have to put in work, which is fine. But it's not fine. That's a programming. But in reality, how I look at it is like, well, first off, why do we gotta do all that shit? As human beings, we all deserve to have a big house. We all deserve to be free. We all deserve to have a nice car. Because if these inventions even exist, then why can't everyone have that shit? And since the government hired most of our technology, I'm sure we have access to more advanced shit. And how this realm is, and you see how big the earth is? You're telling me God is going to create all this shit and not give us advanced technology that can help make the human experience navigate it through it smoothly? You know what I'm saying? So why is it that we have to work at a bullshit job or just do all this stupid ass shit just so we could build wealth in hopes to have financial freedom? This is like what everyone is doing right now. We're all forced to work at these jobs we don't want to be in order for us to be financially free. Even though it gets complex. Some people love what they do within this matrix and the system, which is funny because me, I consider myself to love what I do within this matrix and the system, which I don't mind working. But at the same time, most people, they don't like what they do because we're all put here for different gifts and talents and unique, because we're all unique. So why is it that, like, in order for us to be financially free, to experience some type of freedom and to have a nice car and a nice house, and like a nice house for shelter, clothes, food, water, all that shit is free. Earth provides that in itself. So why is it that, like, we got to work all our fucking lives just to get those things? Water is free. It's provided by Earth. Food is free. You know, clothes should be free because the human body can't take living outside. Obviously, it gets sick. So we need clothing to keep us not sick, right? Food and water is free. It came from Earth. The air we breathe, the shelter. As human beings, we need shelter because obviously we can't live outside, right? And we need a fucking vehicle because obviously as human beings, we only have 2 legs. We can't fucking go from point A to point B. How are we supposed to explore Earth that God created for us? You know what I'm saying? So all this shit should be free. But instead we're working, busting our ass off, forcing to do things we don't want to do, wasting our time, wasting our skills, wasting our talents, just on hopes we could experience life being financially free. You see how this shit makes no sense? And someone commented that, like, as spirits, we're all knowing. But once we incarnate into this realm, then that's when we lose sight of who we are. And how I look at it, and I believe with that person, but how I look at it is this, right? So, like, why is it that, like, because obviously when you die, when you're in a spirit realm, right? Supposedly you're all knowing and you have access to all your past lives. So it makes sense that once we reincarnate, not knowing that, but in these higher realms, it's blissful. There's a lot of love and happiness and peace. You can do your own thing. But once you reincarnate into a human body, or even into this reality, you have a nervous system, so you feel pain. So you don't really have free will because you're tied into your nervous system. And shout out to Chauncey because he mentioned something like that, where, like, you have a nervous system, you feel pain. So all the things you want, you're free. You don't have free will. This is why when you eat, you got to digest, you got to shit, you got to take a piss, you got to take a shower to maintain the human body. If you don't take care of it, if you don't work it out, it gets weak and fragile and shit like that. You think you have free will? Well, watch when someone cuts off your fingers or your arms, then you can't even use that shit and you can't even navigate in this reality the best way you can. And just the fact that we can't grow another arm back or another limb or a body part back, that tells you we don't have free will, because and how fragile and how fragile this human body is in its reality. accidents happen all the time. People lose legs and arms all the time. So imagine losing that shit. Then what? You can't navigate through this realm properly, right? If God is gonna create something like that, at least make human beings grow the same fucking limb that they lost. But God doesn't want to do that because we're in hell. This is why people call it hell. You know, I can explain a lot more, but like I can't. Like my mind, it's weird because my mind could process it and knows and can explain it, but my physical mouth, I can't explain that shit. Because, you know, but I'm not gonna get more into it. So yeah, this reality is hell. So basically what I'm saying is this, right? Oh yeah, so we're all known in the spirit realm and everything's blissful in the higher realms, right? But once we're in here, since we're tied into the human body in this reality, we're tied into our nervous system. We have pain receptors. We feel pain, so we don't have true freedom because like we're all tied into our nervous system. That's why as human beings we have addictions, and we certain human beings are overweight. Certain human beings eat a lot of unhealthy foods. Some human beings have a smoking addiction, a drinking addiction, because of the nervous system. And what happens if there's bodies with nervous systems, there's spirits that are inside bodies with nervous systems, then that gives access for corrupt government or the Masons to orchestrate this realm in a way where like everything is going to go against the nervous system to keep it tied down and addicted so it can harm the body. And once you harm the body, you harm the spirit. And once you do that, that means they're no use and they're susceptible and they're able to submit to the system. And this is going on today. This is where you get your TV commercials from, programming. This is where you get your Hollywood. This is why when you drive around at a certain town, everywhere you see is snacks that aren't good for you. You see cigarettes, you see alcohol all over the place. There's no fruits or vegetables being promoted in these commercials, or fasting, or any type of health relation that's going to help the human body. All that shit is not promoted. But yet you have a lot of unhealthy shit that's promoted, right? And that's why you have chemtrails and all this other shit, right? Because, like I said before, these Masons that control this reality, they know how the human body works, obviously, because that's how they're able to rule it, and obviously astrology and other shit. But since they're aware that the human body is very fragile and that as human beings we do not have free will because we're tied into our nervous system, since they're aware of that, they're gonna try to use certain type of like things to where it's gonna show that, or like not show that, but it's gonna use that to their advantage to go against the human body. So this is why there's so much promotion of alcohol and cigarettes and other bad addictions that's harmful to the human body. And this is why people have so much addictions. Every human being has an addiction that's harmful to the human body. That's why everything's being promoted. Even with these school systems, that's why in the cafeteria, even the school systems, that's why they don't teach about proper health, like not only with the emotional health, but physical health, eating health. They don't talk about fasting and fruits and vegetables. If they do talk about it, it's only to a certain extent, right? So it's weird. They don't talk about real corruption, how much they promote unhealthy shit that keeps people addicted. They don't promote that shit because these businesses need to make money. And the Masons, they created money. So this game is like a fucking Monopoly game and shit. This is why what Chauncey once said, shout out to him. In order for you to get rich or to make a lot of money, you have to know how the game works. Money, this world is no different than Monopoly, like what Chauncey once said. If you know how the game works, then it's gonna be easier for you to manifest money. But obviously that gets complicated because Chauncey, he also mentioned that like as human beings we have karma and astrology controlling our free will. So it gets complicated when it comes to finances and how we want our life to be because we don't have full control over our life. This is why we have a nervous system. This is why we have astrology and shit like that. If you want to know more about like the human body and your life and shit, just observe the nervous system and observe astrology. That's all you need to know. Astrology controls your personalities and your influences and your urges and your mindset. The human nervous system, it controls your same thing, your urges, your addictions. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So either way, fuck this realm. This realm is full of shit. The people are full of shit, and this shit gets annoying. So fuck everything. This is why when people say, or what, at least what Chanton said, to do the mission, get the fuck out of here, I agree with him. Yeah. The only time I would reincarnate is when I have a loving family, if I'm around like-minded people, and if my mission wasn't to break generational curses, if I don't have to deal with that bullshit again, then yeah, I probably would incarnate. But even then, it's still hell because you still have a nervous system, you still have astrology, and you still have third world, there's still world corruption. So like even then, it's risky. You know what I'm saying? Even like on Twitter, like I was checking out certain pages, and like it's like a rated R page, and like it's showing pages like people getting killed or like accidents, and people getting their heads chopped off and their fingers chopped off. And I was watching all these videos, and I was just so disturbed. I'm just like, how crazy, how evil this world is, and how easy it is to lose a body part, or not even that, but it's also showing videos of people getting into car crashes and accidents, and people working in these workplace jobs, how they're getting into accidents and they lost their lives because of that. So this reality, this realm, how it's orchestrated, how it's set up, is fucking violent and it's fucking dangerous. So who the fuck would want to reincarnate into that? And not only that, but then we don't remember our past lives. We don't remember our we as human beings, we don't have access to our past lives, and we don't have full access to what we're even put here to do. So just the fact that shit like this happens, why trust spirit or the universe or God to navigate this realm, or let alone why reincarnate? You know what I'm saying? Instead, it takes us, it damn near takes lifelong just to understand our life mission and what we're put here to do. And while we're doing that, at the same time, we're being slaves, forced to work at these jobs, doing bullshit that we want nothing to do with. So technically, your soul is wasting its time. Because remember what I said before, when you're in the spirit realm, you're all-knowing. But once you reincarnate to a human body, you lose access to your all-knowingness. Because you're in this realm, this 3D, hard, dense realm that is limited. You're tied into a fucking nervous system, that you feel pain and shit like that. So you don't have true freedom. This is why when you're navigating in this human experience, there's certain regulations and rules on what to do, what not to do within the human body. Like, obviously, you can't just fucking grab a knife and just stab yourself. No, because you're going to feel pain. So that in itself tells you that you don't have free will in this shit. And just like what Chauncey once said, he made a great point. He made an example to where, like, human beings can't be trusted, and even yourself, because if you're put at gunpoint, someone had a knife and start stabbing you, then you're gonna scream, you're gonna yell, and like just the fact that you feel pain, obviously, and it's like, oh man, I forgot what he said. Well, basically, you know what I'm talking about. Like, you're watching this, you know what I'm talking about. For example, I think he mentioned this as well. Let's say like you're supposed to answer a question, right? If you say yes, then that means other person. Oh man, so look. Imagine someone was like had a knife and start stabbing you, right? And they're peeling off your skin, right? Obviously, you're gonna want that person to prevent from doing that shit, so you won't feel pain, right? Since you're tied into a nervous system, and you're gonna do whatever it takes to not feel that pain, and it could be in ratting someone out or to do things that they want you to do so they can stop doing that shit. That's what I'm trying to get at. Hope that makes sense. But what I'm trying to say is that we're bound into our nervous system. So all of our decisions is not based on free will. It's based on the type of shit we have within our nervous system and shit, and astrological influences. So we don't have free will. We do, but we don't. We do have free will, but we don't. Like, I have the free will to do that. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean. But at the same time, I don't have the free will when it comes to the people I'm born. So I'm using an example. I have the free will to do this, right? I have the free will to move my head, right? I have the free will to talk and to say whatever I want to say. I have the free will to end this video. That's my free will. I have the free will to drive, right? I have the free will to take off my clothes or to leave it like that, right? So I have the free will to do all that. But I do not have the free will when it comes to the family I was born into. I don't have the free will to other people I'm destined to meet in the future. And I do not have the free will when it comes to my blood flowing and my heart beating and these astrological seasons. That's an example of what I'm talking about. Because I think we're in Sagittarius season or Capricorn season. I don't have free will over that, you know? I don't have the free will to be born into that family. I can't go back in time. You see what I'm getting at? I personally believe we do not have free will when it comes to the people we're meant to be with, even at the jobs that we work with and the locations we're in, within our homes or within our housing area. You know, we don't have the free will. I feel like all that was predestined and destiny and shit like that. You know? But yeah, I'm just pissed off, man, knowing that like I meant to break generational curses and that I had to go through so much abuse and bullshit from my past family generations, and I don't even fucking respect them. You know, I don't want a family because all the hassle you gotta deal with in this society and shit. But it's just weird how like black sheeps of the families as scapegoats, they're constantly being abused just for them to break generational curses, and it's sad how like within these families it takes them generations to generations to generations to even form a generational curse in the first place of their stupidity and unawareness. And that also deals with spiritual warfare. Because like I said, demonic entities, and based on what I've learned from other channels, like Denzel Moss, he talked about it's spiritual. So this is why it's a curse. It's a spiritual curse. But just the fact that shit like this is even allowed in this realm, it's even allowed in this human experience, in this reality, that in itself tells you that it's more likely it's not a good place to be in. Because this is why people call it hell. This is why people like Chonson said, do the work and get the fuck out of here, because shit like this even happens. So that's what I'm getting at. But anyways, this realm is full of shit. This reality is evil, and like the reason why this reality is evil, because a lot of evil shit is even allowed to happen. And I do believe spirit and the universe and God does guide us to a certain extent, but at the same time, just the fact that this reality even allows bullshit like this to happen, and world corruption and evilness, that tells you that this realm is probably not a good realm, and you should do the work and get out here and not reincarnate. You don't have to agree with what I'm saying, but that's how my mindset is. So that's all I gotta say, and keep your head up and have a good one. Like, comment, subscribe, have a good one. Peace.